Hey besties, if you thought the Sister Wives saga had reached its peak, buckle up. Because what's unfolding now isn't just reality TV drama. It's real life, raw, and far more explosive than anything the cameras have ever captured. For years, we've watched Meri Brown play the part of the loyal, heartbroken first wife. The one who stayed behind, who smiled through tears, who whispered she was working on herself, while Kody spun his endless tales of victimhood. She posted those mysterious Instagram quotes, the kind that left fans debating whether they were about Kody, the other wives, or just self-reflection. But behind the filters and the motivational captions, something was brewing. And besties, let me tell you, the Meri we're seeing now is not the same woman we've known for the past decade. This Meri isn't afraid anymore. She's done playing the quiet, obedient wife. She's calling out the manipulation, the hypocrisy, and she's doing it with receipts. So what caused this sudden shift? Why did the once timid, always cautious Meri decide to confront Kody, both on and off camera? And what does it mean for the fragile balance of the Brown family now that Kody's iron grip is finally slipping? Let's rewind and break it down, besties, because this is the point in the story where everything starts to unravel. For more than 10 years, we've known Meri as the peacemaker, the fixer who stayed loyal even when her world was falling apart. Christine pursued her freedom, Janelle quietly built her independence, and Robin whispered sweet reassurances in Kody's ear. Through it all, Meri stayed. She was visible but never truly seen. Devoted but often dismissed. "I just want everyone to be happy," she'd say. But behind those carefully chosen words, another reality simmered. One of betrayal, loneliness, and control. Insiders say Meri's emotional unraveling wasn't sudden. It was the result of countless small cuts. Overheard conversations, secret messages, and cold shoulders. Kody would publicly sigh, insisting that he and Meri were just friends, and that he wished her well in finding herself. But off camera, it was a different story. According to multiple reports, Kody continued to dictate the rules, telling Meri what to post, what not to say, and how to represent the family's image. Her silence became his tool. Her pain became his narrative. For years, Meri obeyed. She swallowed her pride, posted her cryptic quotes, and played her part. But by 2022, those vague healing messages began to change. Gone were the soft selfies and polished captions. Instead, Meri started writing things like, "I'm not afraid to start over," and "This is my journey." Fans noticed. Reddit threads exploded. Sister Wives watchers analyzed every like, every emoji, every accidental double tap. And soon the picture became clear. Meri wasn't hinting anymore. She was declaring. Behind the scenes, insiders say she'd already started distancing herself from the family. She skipped gatherings, and when she did show up, the energy was different. She no longer hovered nervously near Kody. Instead, she sat back, arms folded, radiating quiet defiance. Gone was the timid Meri. In her place stood a woman who had finally decided she had nothing left to lose. A podcast host who reportedly interviewed Meri off camera revealed that she was done protecting Kody's ego. She was ready to tell her story, even if it meant burning bridges. So what was the final straw? It wasn't one explosive moment, but rather the last in a series of betrayals. According to insiders, during one particularly tense family meeting that never aired, Kody tried to introduce new family rules, including restrictions on what could be posted online and how their shared businesses should be managed. Meri pushed back. For the first time ever, she said, "I'm not afraid of you anymore." That one sentence reportedly changed everything. From that point forward, Meri stopped asking for permission. She began reviewing her contracts, reevaluating her investments, and even sought legal advice about her financial independence. This was the turning point, where Meri stopped being managed and started managing herself. Publicly, the show still presented the facade. "We're working through things. It's complicated. We still care about each other." But by the time those episodes aired, insiders say Meri had already made her decision. She was done living in fear. Christine had already left. Janelle was quietly plotting her next steps. Robin clung desperately to the illusion of unity. But even she couldn't ignore that the old Meri was gone for good. Fans saw the shift in interviews, the small smirks, the sharp glances, the subtle shade. Phrases like, "Some people just don't want you to succeed," slipped out of Meri's mouth, and the internet went wild decoding every syllable. But it wasn't just about Kody anymore. This was about Meri taking back control of her own narrative. She began traveling, surrounding herself with new friends, and showing genuine happiness, not the performative kind. She interacted more with fans, shared her story of resilience, and even started mentoring women about self-worth and independence. By early 2023, Meri reportedly sat down with producers and set her terms. No more sad wife storyline. She told them, "I've been through enough. I'm done hiding." And for the first time, the producers agreed. Naturally, Kody didn't take it well. He allegedly tried to reassert control, organizing emergency family meetings, guilt-tripping Meri about loyalty, even hinting that speaking out would ruin everything. But this time, the manipulation didn't work. Meri stood her ground. She reminded everyone, including Kody, that she was an independent woman and a successful business owner, not a pawn in his narrative. And that, besties, is when everything began to crumble. Because while Meri was finding her voice, Kody was losing control. He began calling more family meetings, framing them as discussions about unity and finances. But insiders claim they were actually about control, specifically over the family's assets and Coyote Pass land. Kody allegedly pushed everyone to sign new contracts under the pretext of clarity and planning for the future. But Meri refused. She demanded legal review of every document. She asked difficult questions about debt, property division, and whether her business income had been used to fund family expenses. Kody apparently was stunned. He wasn't used to hearing no. As financial pressures grew and the show's future hung in uncertainty, Kody reportedly tried to tighten his grip, creating new LLCs and shell companies to protect his assets. But to him, Meri had become the biggest obstacle. Family group chats reportedly turned into battlegrounds. Kody sent long emotional messages about loyalty and betrayal. But Meri didn't flinch. For the first time, she wasn't afraid of him or of the fallout. So here we are, besties, watching Meri Brown, once the quietest of them all, rise from the ashes of manipulation and heartbreak. Her story has become bigger than Sister Wives. It's a story about power, freedom, and refusing to be silenced any longer. And trust me, this is only the beginning. Because next, we're diving into the aftermath. The legal and financial battles, the fallout with Robyn, and how Meri's stand set off a domino effect that shook the entire Brown family to its core. If you thought Meri's bold Instagram posts were the drama, oh, besties, you've seen nothing yet. The real storm is just beginning. The real storm is just beginning. Friends say that lately, Meri has no longer been tolerating Kody's guilt trips or manipulation. Whenever he tried to corner her, she'd calmly hit back with questions that left him speechless. Why does it matter what I do with my own money? And why do I need your permission to run my business? For the first time in Sister Wives history, Kody Brown had no comeback. And besties, that's where Meri's true power started to shine. But this wasn't just happening through texts and tense conversations. Oh no, Meri was acting, decisively and intelligently. According to insiders, she began showing up to legal consultations, determined to firewall her finances from the Brown family's chaos. She reportedly met with 2 lawyers, one specializing in family law, the other in property division. She wanted to know her rights, not as Kody's wife, but as an independent investor in Brown family holdings. And get this, she documented everything. Every question, every response, every financial discussion went into a personal log. Because Meri wasn't playing anymore. If this ever went public or legal, she'd be ready. Meanwhile, Kody was losing it. Sources say he called Meri paranoid, accused her of listening to outsiders, and even threatened to cut her off from the family business. But Meri didn't flinch. Reportedly, she looked him straight in the eye and said, "You don't control me anymore. I'm not scared of you." And that, besties, was the moment the entire dynamic flipped. Kody tried his old tricks: guilt, manipulation, and recruiting allies. He reminded the other wives that Meri was betraying the family and putting herself first. But the thing is, Christine was already gone, Janelle was halfway out the door, and even Robyn, usually his most loyal defender, was looking uncomfortable. Sources claim the atmosphere at family gatherings was electric with tension. At one dinner, Meri allegedly called Kody out in front of everyone, saying, "If you want respect, you need to start giving it." Witnesses say Kody was stunned. For once, the self-proclaimed family patriarch had no words. And here's where it gets powerful, besties. Because what Meri did next wasn't just brave, it was transformative. For years, she had internalized every insult, every shifting rule, every emotional manipulation. But now she started doing the inner work. She began therapy, joined support groups, and connected with other women who'd escaped similar control dynamics. According to close friends, therapy became her anchor. It helped her unlearn the guilt, the self-blame, and the fear that had kept her quiet for so long. She became stronger, steadier, and for the first time in years, genuinely happy. And that strength was contagious. Fans noticed. Social media lit up with love for Meri. People who once pitied her were now calling her an icon of resilience. She posted about healing, about surviving narcissistic abuse, about reclaiming her power, without naming names, but everyone knew who she meant. "You're my hero," one fan commented. Meri replied with a heart emoji and later that week posted, "Stand up to bullies. They hate it when you find your voice." Meanwhile, on the financial battlefield, Meri was making boss moves. According to property records and insider sources, she ensured her name appeared only on her business assets and nowhere near new family debt. She cleared her business loans, restructured ownership of her B&B, and opened new accounts only she could access. When Kody found out, he reportedly accused her of planning her escape. Meri's reply? "I'm not planning my escape. I'm planning my future." Mic drop, besties. And here's the kicker. As Kody's power shrank, so did his control over the narrative. On camera, he was still playing the martyr, preaching about moving on and family unity. But behind the scenes, insiders say he was desperate. He allegedly called TLC producers, begging them to edit scenes that made him look bad. But Meri wasn't going to be silenced anymore. She demanded her truth be told. And producers, sensing real emotional gold, reportedly backed her. They wanted authenticity, not another recycled storyline. And Meri finally had the freedom to tell her side. From that point on, Meri stayed laser-focused. She poured her energy into her business, her healing, and her rediscovered sense of self. She traveled more, reconnected with friends, and started living, not just surviving. She stopped attending certain family events altogether, sending a crystal-clear message. She was done being the family's emotional punching bag. And the ripple effect? Oh, it was massive. Janelle became more outspoken. Robin stopped blindly defending Kody. Even fans started demanding more honesty from the Brown family. The old Trust Kody era was over, and Meri was the one who ended it. As Session 2 closes, let's remember, Meri's fight wasn't just about money or land. It was about self-respect, about reclaiming her place at the table and saying, "I deserve better." She wasn't just standing up to Kody Brown, she was standing up to every manipulative, dismissive voice that ever told her she wasn't enough. Her story became a movement, proof that even after decades of silence, it's never too late to rewrite your narrative. But hold on tight, besties, because we're not done yet. Session 3 is where things get raw. This isn't about contracts or Coyote Pass anymore. It's about the emotional aftermath. The sleepless nights, the tears, the loneliness, and the terrifying realization that freedom, while powerful, can also be painful. From the outside, Meri looks like she's thriving. But behind closed doors, the process of unlearning a lifetime of control isn't easy. Friends say she sometimes sits quietly, lost in thought, grieving the years she gave away. Because for most of her life, her identity was built around being the first wife, the glue that held the Browns together. But when she began separating her finances, she realized she also had to separate her heart. The guilt hit hard. "Am I betraying my family?" she reportedly asked friends. Kody, ever the manipulator, used that guilt against her, insisting she was destroying the family and listening to haters. But instead of breaking, Meri became stronger. Therapy gave her the courage to confront her past. She reportedly told her therapist, "He made me feel like I was nothing. I let it happen for too long. But I won't let it happen again." Fans noticed the shift. Her body language changed on camera. The tense jaw, the folded arms, the fire in her eyes. During one scene where Kody tried lecturing her about family unity, Meri fired back online with a post that went viral. "You don't get to rewrite my story." It was a cultural moment in the Sister Wives fandom. Meri Brown was officially done being silent. But of course, that strength came at a price. Sources say that after filming, Meri often broke down in private, trembling, crying, saying, "I'm scared, but I'm done hiding." Producers reportedly begged her to stay, offering her creative control over her storyline. "Tell your truth," they said. "We'll support you." And for the first time, Meri felt like her voice mattered. The fan base rallied around her. Women shared stories of escaping toxic relationships and rebuilding from nothing. Meri reportedly read every comment, some nights relying on that encouragement to keep going. Meanwhile, Kody saw her transformation as a threat. He allegedly tried everything: guilt, anger, even promises of a fresh start. But the undertone was clear: fall back in line or lose everything. Still, Meri didn't flinch. According to one podcast source, she told a friend, "I'd rather lose everything than lose myself again." And with that, the old Meri Brown was gone for good. Even within the family, alliances shifted. Janelle privately encouraged her, saying, "You're doing the right thing. Don't let him make you doubt yourself." Robin, torn between loyalty and empathy, began to see the pain in Meri's eyes. Even some of the older Brown children, according to fan speculation, quietly supported her from the sidelines. Group chats grew tense. Family events turned icy. And behind the scenes, Meri was already planning her next chapter. Insiders say she met with her lawyers again, ensuring her business empire was airtight, and she even began quietly exploring real estate options outside Utah and Arizona. For the first time in decades, Meri Brown was dreaming about a future that didn't include Kody Brown. And besties, she wasn't afraid anymore. Yes, besties. This is the chapter where heartbreak turns into hope, and silence turns into power. For years, Meri Brown was the quiet one, sitting at the edge of the couch, smiling through the chaos, nodding as Kody monologued about family unity and forgiveness. But somewhere between those endless family meetings and the carefully staged dinners, something shifted. Meri stopped performing. Behind the scenes, she began rebuilding her life piece by piece. She reconnected with old friends, started traveling solo, and rediscovered laughter, the kind that doesn't need permission. Her Instagram began glowing again. Hiking trails, B&B sunsets, conference smiles. It was the soft reintroduction of a woman who'd been hidden too long. And besties, producers saw it too. Sources say TLC quietly offered Meri new opportunities. Empowerment specials, interview spots, even behind-the-scenes producing segments about strength after control. And Meri, clever, composed, calculating, took it all in stride. She knew this was her chance not just to exist in the story, but to own it. She started using her platform for something real: mental health, self-worth, the courage it takes to leave emotional abuse. And in doing so, she flipped the script. By the end of that season, the suspense wasn't "will Meri leave?" anymore. It was, who will she become now that she's free? But here's where things get messy, besties, because the timelines don't match. The version you saw on TLC, Kody's soft-spoken speeches, the therapy sessions, the reconciliations, was carefully pieced together to make it seem like peace was possible. Yet, according to multiple insiders and social media detectives, by the time those episodes aired, Meri had already cut the strings. Off camera, she'd started legal steps to separate her finances. She refused to sign new property deals tied to Kody's debts. And when it came to Coyote Pass, she reportedly said a firm, "No more." Meanwhile, Kody furious. Sources say he tried to delay every process, hoping emotional guilt would work where love had failed. But Meri had evolved. She wasn't scared anymore. She'd learned the quiet art of saying no, and meaning it. Now let's talk about the editing magic. When fans started noticing inconsistencies, missing rings, different wardrobes, awkward silences, Reddit and Instagram lit up. One viral post read, "Meri's already gone, but TLC is still pretending she's staying." They were right. By then, Meri had wiped her socials clean of Kody references, and production had been forced to use old footage to keep the illusion alive. Behind the scenes, they were stitching together timelines like patchwork because the truth was too powerful to hide. And then came the legal showdown. Documents, property divisions, and quiet lawyer visits all pointed to one thing: Meri was securing her independence on paper. Her team reportedly made sure her name was clear of every Brown family debt and attached only to her B&B, her own hard work. Kody, as expected, pushed back. Sources claim he even threatened to go public with his version of events. Meri's response, according to a friend? "Let him. I've got nothing to hide." And that's the moment everything changed. For the first time, the power dynamic flipped. Meri wasn't waiting for closure. She was the closure. On social media, her tone shifted from apology to empowerment. Gone were the cryptic captions. Now she posted sunrise hikes, bold outfits, confident smirks, the kind that say, "I survived you, and I'm thriving now." Her fans noticed. Team Meri began trending. And even the other wives couldn't help but take sides. Christine cheered her on publicly, Janelle praised her courage in interviews, and Robin? Well, besties, Robin started looking nervous. Those awkward glances in confessionals, the trembling smiles, fans saw it all. because when one woman breaks the silence, it forces everyone else to face their own truth. By the time we reached the final episodes, TLC could no longer hide the cracks. The healing scenes felt hollow. The family hugs looked rehearsed. And Kody, once the confident patriarch, seemed like a man watching his own narrative slip away. Because it was. Meri wasn't part of the story anymore. She was the story. The quiet, powerful, undeniable proof that freedom was possible, even after decades of control. And besties, let's not sugarcoat it. Freedom isn't painless. Insiders say Meri still grieved, still had lonely nights, still questioned the years she'd given away. But she also found peace. Not the kind Kody talked about in therapy. The kind that comes from owning your truth, scars and all. Her followers noticed the difference. The glow, the unforced smile, the posture of a woman who finally knows she owes no one an apology. And here's where you come in. Because Meri's journey isn't just entertainment, it's a mirror. Every person who's ever felt trapped, silenced, or small can see themselves in her fight. Every person who's ever been told to keep the peace can look at her and say, no more. Meri's victory isn't about ratings or revenge. It's about reclaiming power in a world that tried to define her. So besties, as this session closes, let me ask you, what would you do in her place? Would you keep performing for someone else's comfort, or walk away for your own peace? Because that's the legacy of Meri Brown. Not the wife who stayed, but the woman who finally left. Her journey is yours too. Her courage is your reminder. And her silence breaking? That's the sound of every woman finding her voice. Stay tuned, besties, because in Session 7, we'll step into the chaos that followed. The producers' scramble, Kody's crisis meetings, and Robyn's secret late-night call to TLC executives that changed everything. You won't believe what comes next. You won't believe what comes next.